Good morning.
Good to see you. All
Good to
right,
see you
let's
guys.
attack these questions here. Brian Horace, you're up first.
Hey John, good morning.
Hey, Brian.
So a lot of times after a big game like this past Saturday, there can be a letdown. Is a lot of what you and the staff have to coach against human nature at this point?
I think it's human nature every game, because for us internally, every game for us is a big game. And I think that the Carolina game, like I mentioned before, there's more distractions and more noise. So you have to acknowledge that. But the reality is we've approached every game the same way. So for us, it's no different, for Syracuse. It's the same prep, same focus, same edge for us. But human nature absolutely is a part of this whole thing, 100%.
Thank you.
Rod Baxley.
Hey, John. You guys don't have what you would really define as a traditional point guard, but you obviously have a lot of playmakers, which has led to an incredible assist rate. What's enabled this group to accomplish that and have so much success at sharing the ball?
Well, I think it's modern basketball, multiple ball handlers.
Yeah.
When you have a guy, Cooper really is a point guard in a lot of ways for us. So you don't need a guy that just always has the ball in his hands as a point guard. I think that's important for me. But Sion has a great feel for the game. Obviously Tyrese and Caleb handle for us. Khan handles. So I think the more guys you have on the floor that can have great feel, that can pass, handle, and shoot the better you are. And that's what we have.
Thanks, John.
Steve Weissman.
Thanks, Andy. Good morning, John. We talked a lot in the offseason when you were building this roster about, what you were intentional about wanting to add some age to the group to go around Cooper and the great freshman. What would you say at this point? How would you say it's worked out? I mean, obviously the record is what it is. Can you talk about the tangible ways that Mason and Malik and Sion have impacted the team?
Well, I think it's the right kind of experience, and each of them have different backgrounds, right? But they all came here hungry to win. First and foremost, it wasn't about their stats. And I think that's a big thing. A lot of times it can be about their stats. And even though they all have individual goals, they've been amazing connectors for us. And they've been just as good of competitors that we have on the team. So that's really what you want your experience to bring to the table. And so for me, I mean, we batted 1,000, with our transfers in terms of what they've brought to the table and how they've impacted winning. And that's by far the biggest thing. They've brought a toughness, competitiveness, and they're connectors in terms of making others better on the court.
Thank you.
Connor O'Neill.
John, how much, if at all, have you had to fight against complacency setting in with this team?
I think naturally as a coach, you're thinking about that all the time, and not being satisfied, not being hungry, understanding it's February 3rd. There's a long way to go, but we feel we have a big mission, a deeper purpose. Uh, and that's why one of the things we've talked about is just the process. It's not about the result. So we don't coach the result. We coach, do we do what our intention initially was to set out doing? But I think as a coach, you're constantly worried about outside distractions, noise, all of those things, and we're battling against it all the time. Our group has done an amazing job just staying locked in and focused, and that's obviously that needs to continue.
In your experience with teams that rely on freshmen so heavily, how rare is it for this team to have done as good of a job as they have in battling against it?
Yeah, their maturity with uh, embracing coaching all the time, and then also with their hunger to do something special has been unique. And I give all of them credit for that. And then the other thing that's really important is the fact that they've just thrown themselves into the moment. They're not getting ahead of themselves. That's unique.
Mike Waters.
Morning, John. You just got Malik Brown back this past weekend. What did you miss from him while in those games that he was out?
I think that first play that he came back, it took him about 2 seconds to get a deflection and a steal. and it led to 3 points on the other end for Cooper. I think that right there sums it up. But his offensive feel really for us has been a big plus. His passing, his screening. He's a very smart basketball player. I want to continue to get him to shoot the ball and be more aggressive offensively, but he just impacts us on both ends because of his feel. And obviously, I think his versatility on defense speaks for itself.
Justin
Thanks.
Gershon.
Hey, Coach, sort of just building off that last question. What was your just initial reaction to Malik entering the portal, and what new element has he brought to your team this year?
Yeah, just I think just I summed it up there in terms of what he does on the floor, but just his unselfishness, who he is as a teammate. He's worked his butt off every single day, been coachable. The thing that's impressed me the most, though, is his feel. Again, he's got great feel for the game on both ends.
David Teal.
John, you mentioned that sequence where Malik had that initial deflection. ESPN had a cutaway when after that play you locked arms with Chris and Coach Lucas and kind of whispered something to them, and it looked like you were all having, I don't know if it was a laugh or a reaction to the play. And I wondered what you said to them in wake of that play.
I probably just said, thank God he's back. I think you forget, just the impact that he makes, those little plays, and it just puts doubt in your mind as an offensive player when he's guarding you. So that was pretty special what he did. So I don't remember exactly, but I imagine there's something along those lines.
Jason Evans.
John, it may be sacrilege to even bring this up, but you guys are undefeated in the ACC and you're in the back half of the schedule now. Have you all talked at all, just even in passing, the coaches, the team, about what an accomplishment that would be if you're able to pull it off?
We have not at this point. No. I think there's a long way to go still. And I think our guys have done a great job of just attacking the next thing at this point. And obviously, you always try to set out to do something special. But for us, that hasn't been something that we have talked about or set out to do, at this moment. Just it's been about winning the next game. So it's gonna stay that way.
Grayson Mann.
Coach, I know you have the matchup with Syracuse in between this, but just what has been your impression of Clemson as you gear up for that weekend matchup with them, especially with the implications that it'll have on the first place race in the ACC?
I have zero thoughts because all my thoughts are going towards Syracuse. I already know how good Clemson is and the respect for, Brad and his staff and what they do. Totally understand that. But all my thoughts are towards Syracuse and how good they are and how ready we have to be for them.
John, thank you for the time today. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great morning.
Yeah,
Thanks.
see you soon.